Hello, if you could take a seat, we're going to get started. Everyone back there. All right, so if you've never been here before, welcome. Actually, show of hands, who's never been to one of these before? We got some new people. Awesome. This is cool. It's kind of new for me, actually. My name is Matt Ryan. I am the Chicago Chapter President of the VRAR Association, co-founder, chief technology officer of that company back there called Bundle AR. And I'm the founder of this event. I've been hosting it for 2.5 years-ish. I actually don't know how long it's been. It's been a while. If you've never been here before, this is a monthly event. VRAR Chicago Meetup. We are basically going to every month pick an industry that is utilizing immersive technology. We're going to bring in experts from that industry to tell you how they're utilizing immersive technology. And we're here, basically, the whole point of this, so you guys are aware, is for you. I don't know necessarily, show of hands, how many of you are from the packaging industry? Feel free to actually show your hands, some people don't. Okay. And how many of you are like AR, VR enthusiasts or students or looking to work in the space, creatives? I see at least a few people who've never actually raised their hands, so I don't know what you're doing. That's fine. Just realize that kind of looking around you, a lot of the people in the audience are going to be the best resource for you to meet, not necessarily myself or some of the panel members. The whole point is whatever you're trying to do, let us know. We'll try and help you take whatever your next step forward is. That said, we always, have to thank the people who help us do this. So I'm going to start with CEO John, if he ever gets up here, because he's a little too busy talking. Back there, you coming, John? You can do that stuff in a minute. And our sponsors that we have to thank, 1871 gives us the space. If you're not familiar with the space, you should definitely check it out. FinTank, who helps us on the marketing side, the VRAR Association, I'll talk to them because normally the other John who's here would, but he's had some issues with the store rate lately, so I'm going to take his spot today. And John Martin from Bundle AR.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for attending tonight. I'm quite pleased because one of our dear friends and supporter, Eli, is here, and he's going to be on the panel. It's so nice to see some of the people that we've worked with come out and share their experiences regarding augmented reality, virtual reality. We just wanted to identify at Bundle AR, we call 1871 our home, and it's a wonderful place for us to work out of, and all the people we get to meet and the potential partners we get to work with out of 1871. So we're very excited you're here. I want to do a little shout out to Matt Wren, who's put this together for the last 2.5 years out of his own kindness and commitment to augmented reality and virtual reality. So we're very excited to share with you. And for us at Bundle AR, we're very proud to be associated with the VRAR Chicago Meetup and welcome all of you tonight. So thank you for being here.
Okay, last year you hear from me speaking. So I'm the Chicago Chapter President of the VRAR Association. Other members of the VRAR Association, the board members, can you kind of raise your hands real quick? So we got John Adler, he's our membership director over there at the table. Paula, you met at the front desk, she was checking you in. Victor's been helping us with events for quite a while. There's a couple other members here that I see, but I won't call them out unless they want to be called out. That said, the VRAR Association, if you're going to be working in virtual reality or augmented reality, you should get to know this association. Basically, educational resources, discounts on events, networking and connections that you're probably not going to get any other way, discounts on hardware. The benefits are pretty much limitless. If you're going to be working in this space, you should get to know us, whether you're specifically a VRAR company or a company that's working with VRAR and just trying to build resources. That's all I'm going to say about that. Check out, talk to John. If you want to find out more about us, there's no obligations or anything, and I will try not to spam you with email if you give me your address. With that said, next I'm going to introduce our panel, and I should probably get my little clicker here so I can actually advance the slides. So the format for the night, so you're aware, we have expert panel member from the packaging industry. They're going to give you little presentations, let you know what they do, what their areas of expertise are, so you can ask them questions later. And after they're done giving their little presentations, we are limiting their time so they can't go on forever. You get to fire away whatever questions you want at them and get your questions answered. So our panel members, if I turn this thing on. Hey, look at that. I'm not even going to try and pronounce your name. So, Joao Edada. Got it right? Cool. Eli Galeta and Michael Naughton. And I think think we're starting with Eli, is that right?
I think
Is that what we agreed to? So come on up, Eli, you're first.
All right. That will control the presentation. Got it.
Well, first, thanks everyone for coming out today. It's pretty exciting. Like you said, my name is Eli Blada. In a moment here, you'll recognize me as the gentleman on the panel without the awesome accent, so it'll be easy to remember.
All right, how do I play this thing?
And well, while he's getting started, I can just get started. So my name is Eli Blada. I work with a company called Envision here, locally, actually, right out of Glenview. I have the role of client engagement, head of client engagement there. And in that role,
There we go.
I do three things predominantly. One is I work with existing account managers to make sure we're executing on all our goals for our existing accounts. Second, I work with our business developers, making sure they're getting everything they need from a marketing perspective to accurately articulate the things that we're trying to go to market with. And third, and why I'm here, I head up the innovation within the company. So AI, beacon technology, RFID technology, AR, VR, that kind of falls under my umbrella. And I go out and I assess and reassess emerging technology and make sure our clients are getting everything they need from an innovation perspective. Quickly, just for some context, I work with Envision as a division of North American Corporation. We actually just had our 100-year anniversary a couple months ago, which is pretty exciting for us. We got our start, our founders started the company 100 years ago selling paper hat bags to the railroad. Back then they had coal-powered trains and the conductors were getting their hats dirty, so he made paper bags for them. And that kind of emerged over time to some cleaning supplies, which filled out our commercial division. That morphed into an industrial division, so we sold stretch film, shrink wrap, corner board, things that you find in warehouses, all the way up to about 35 years ago when we started our Envision division, which was an offshoot of our Hyatt relationship. They came to us saying, hey, we love what you're doing here from a centralized commercial perspective, industrial perspective. Can you just start printing all of our stuff too, a one-stop shop? We said, we didn't know anything about that, but yes, absolutely, we'll get to work doing it. And 35 years later, we have an international solution that we're selling right now. Speaking specifically about Envision, right now what we do is we look at marketing supply chains. We try to suss out the inefficiencies. We try to create streamlined solutions for our clients. We work with a whole bunch of people across consumer packaged goods, retail, healthcare, building products. Our solution kind of applies to just about everyone. And all this is going to come full circle here in a minute. This is how we view the marketing supply chain. From our perspective, everyone has one, whether you think of it or not. You're creating things, you're producing things, you're storing things, you're warehousing things, you're shipping out to the end consumer. This is how we view the marketing supply chain. One of the things that we're most excited about within the supply chain, while we have expertise in every one of these individual bubbles, we also have expertise across how all these individual bubbles work. So, from a production perspective, if we can, cut something down 2 inches, we can ship it for, 2 cents cheaper, which saves you $250,000 a year. If we could create an ordering windows that are more abbreviated, we can, save ourselves, I think it was worth a client $500,000 a year on our Russian freight charges. One of the things that we specialize in that we're most proud of is the growth of our internal agency, which is what's coming back around now to augmented reality. So Envision NV3 is something that we came up with. Right now it's growing, we're super excited about it. We have a bunch of capabilities from print, illustration, digital, on down the line. And when we're looking at Envision and our NV3 agency, we thought to ourselves, we have such a great opportunity from a timeline perspective to get these markers. Any AR experience specifically is a marker, it's an asset, and it's a platform to marry together. We had such a great insight into the markers, to the development, to their creation. We thought, why not add on AR as a service offering? We have such great insight into what they're creating. We have such great mobile lines of communication with these legacy clients. Why not bring AR into the fold? So, taking a quick look just at some of the things that we create, just to give you a flavor of what we're creating. We're creating point of sale display material, banners, signs, kind of the unsexy traditional print things that you see when you walk into a store. For comment here, we were creating some trade show booths for them. For Bridgestone, a long-standing client of ours, we did their code of conduct book as well as all their Super Bowl ads that they just recently had. Looking at Seagram's, one of our big clients is Steve Co, so a bunch of alcohol related projects that we're doing for them as well. But again, looking at all these things we've done for ourselves, we have, again, great insight into these markers. Let's take advantage of it. Let's create AR as a core service opportunity. So that's what we did. We brought AR to the fold, and since we have, we've been pretty excited about the results right now. So we're pitching that to all of our clients right now. On the back end, we have Bundler here, who's with us, helping us fill all of our AR needs. We're super excited about the relationship we've had with them. If I can give you guys any piece of advice, it would be to find yourselves an excellent partner who could really, provide you the knowledge base to bring this client, to bring your client's ideas to life, because it's made a huge difference to us. For our existing clients, I'm traveling around the country right now for the last 6 months pretty aggressively, talking to legacy clients, not just from a BD perspective, but from, the perspective of we know these clients, we know them by their first names, we're sending them holiday cards, so we're having some great insight and perspective on how they view the augmented reality, virtual reality movement. So a lot of the perspective that you'll hear from me today is what it's like, not just from a legacy company who is 100 years old, who specializes in print, that's bringing on this new technology, but working with existing clients who this is brand new to, and I could maybe shed some perspective on what it's like interacting with these people, the questions they're asking, what their expectations are, and so on. So like I said before, who am I talking to? I'm talking to marketing leaders right now, brand managers, actually procurement people a lot. You'd be surprised in a lot of these organizations, they're not sure what AR, VR rolls up into. Procurement is taking a lead on a lot of those conversations. Right now what they're talking about, it's not just, you can't just show them things anymore and have them go ahead and say, wow, and I want to talk to you further. You have to talk about the omni-channel perspective. You have to talk about how we're integrating this into a campaign. So those are the conversations we're having now. And then, what they're asking about. It's not just how can I use this technology to market my products, it's how can I use it internally, how can I use this from a prospecting perspective. So, today I'm happy to answer any questions you have on from that perspective. So thank you so much. Your time is fair.
Michael, you're next.
Good evening. So quick raise of hands. Who here has heard of ESCO? Yeah, exactly what I expected. That's a normal reaction I get. So Mike Norton. I have been with ESCO for almost 17 years. So I know what you're thinking. He's in his 30s, so how is that possible? But actually in sales, which I'm sorry, but I am. I was in technical roles for most of my career. And I figured, why not move into sales, because I'm getting older, obviously. And it's working out pretty well. This is ESCO. This is who we are. This is what makes up our company. Probably the most important part here is the 8 software R&D centers. So we spend a significant amount of money, and we have a significant amount of resources. At least close to 400 people out of the 1,800 that we have in our company do R&D. So work on software and hardware constantly. So we are always striving to innovate and stay at the cusp of that technology, innovative edge. And that's where I like to be. This is why I'm here. It's what I like to do. So we have a bunch of regional headquarters. I live near the one in Miamisburg, Ohio, which is just near Dayton, actually. And people always ask me, because I'm originally from Australia, like, why you live in Dayton? I'm like, it's a beautiful place. It's cheap, and it's actually quite a nice place. So if you're ever down there, you'll really like it. It's very nice. Look, that's our vision at ESCO. We really want to help customers, which our customers range from supplier side, so we're talking pre-media, pre-press, printing, suppliers to brands, to another side of the business, which is what I'm on, which is the brand side. So I'm on a global team that pitches directly to brand companies. So at the moment I have 12 territories or 12 states, most of it Ohio, and then 11 states on the East Coast. So I basically go into large brand companies and pitch the concepts, the software solutions that we have on hand, and see if we can, make something with their company to utilize that technology. So we are a part of a company called Danaher. So you've probably never heard of Danaher, but they're a Fortune 150. They're out of Washington, D.C. They basically buy, the top 1 or 2 companies in their respective verticals, and they build them up and, sometimes sell them off. So if you look at out of the 5 strategic platforms, we actually are under the product identification. So ironically, we have a couple of companies you probably recognise there as Pantone and X-Ray. So you've probably all heard of those, yeah. And there's also Videojet and AVT. So a lot of really, companies that are in the supply chain that are, serialization and checking print quality throughout the whole solution. And what Eli was talking about earlier about that supply chain. So augmented reality, we basically developed our own app, and we put some effort into it. We basically give it away for free. So if you want to download it, there's the location. That's what it's called. It's called Studio Viewer. You can download it. You can use it for free. You just need to upload Collada files. Does everybody know what Collada is? Colladas are basically a 3D file format. Yeah, it's very common in the 3D world. It's basically the vehicle of choice for many 3D companies. It's essentially the PDF of 3D. So if you've got a Collada file, which there's a ton of them out there on the internet, you can upload them to our app and you can utilize, and I'm going to show you a little video that I made earlier just to show you how it works. So basically on your mobile phone, so it's obviously on iPad, iPhone, or Android, or Windows. So it's accommodates to all of those. And you basically pick from a library or off of the cloud, and you can open up your packaging, you can spin it around, you can see all the special effects, the visual effects, the embossing, the foils, the holographics, the spotlights, the spot varnishes, whatever makes up that package. And you can take photos of it, or you can use the Apple AR kit and basically scan your surroundings, the spatial requirements and the surface properties, and place that packaging onto that surface. So in effect, what companies are using this for is they upload their conceptuals for their packaging, they take it into a real store, and they can put it virtually on the shelf next to current product line or competitive product line. And they can take snapshots in reality with a virtual concept and see how it's going to look. They can do testing with clients. They just give them each an iPad with a loaded up with all the concepts and go ahead and go around and see what it looks like and give us your feedback. So that's one way they're using our app, which again is free. We want to be able to communicate our 3D. So we have a bunch of software that creates these 3D models. That's why we give this away for free. We charge for the software. This is just the communication part for us. But we plan to do a lot more with this, which obviously you'll see a lot more of that tonight. So on the virtual reality side, we developed, in co-partner with another company, what we call store visualization. So in effect, you're able to basically create or render an environment, anything, this room, and do it to scale, and then you can put product in there, you can put anything you want in there, essentially anything. You can build a supermarket, which customers have done. And once you do that, you can use the, one of the virtual headsets out there. The two that I'm familiar with is Oculus Rift and HTC Vive. And you can put them on and basically walk around these environments and pick stuff up and, analyze it. And it's true to life, true to scale, so it's all very interactive and very effective. Our companies are using it same way. They're basically looking, so all of these brand companies have these spaces that they build out physically, and they put their products in there physically. The problem with that is you have to have people come in to see that, right? It's not easily distributable across, the continent or around the globe. So virtual is allowing us to push a environment out there and see their conceptuals, their packaging in the actual environment, possibly with competitive products on the virtual shelf, and make decisions and move stuff around and switch stuff out very quickly. It's a very fast turnaround on ideation and conceptualization. And to be honest, the brand companies I deal with are really starting to realize this. It's coming to the point now when time is money, and the quicker they can get to market with a product, that means getting it approved, because it takes months for these things to get approved. They want it done in weeks. Yeah. And some of these companies we've done studies with, every day a product is not on shelf is $1 million plus they're losing every day that they don't have it out there in front of the consumers. So this is significant in pushing and speeding up that whole process. Okay. Yeah, just a little video just to show you what's possible. So this was a whole mall that was created for a show we did in Germany called Drupa. Anybody ever been to Drupa? Phenomenal show. It's 2 weeks long, 10 days of the show. It's like Groundhog Day. Anyway, look, this is a supermarket we built out, filled it with product. Big question is where the product comes from. Well, we can create it with our software, or you can actually scan it with a 3D scanner. Very quick, very dirty, very simple. But the idea is to populate these stores as quick as possible. We can also import from planograms. So a lot of brand companies already use planograms. We just import them, convert them to 3D, and all the metadata, all the metrics are there with the products, and it's all on shelf very, very quickly. And very easy to, sort of create a space and move things around, and, again, put the headset on and you feel like you're in the store shopping. Of course, it's not just for, supermarkets and food. Retailers moving into this as well. They want to see how they want to lay out their stores. They want to capture people as they walk through and see what they look at first, see where they go, what their path of shopping experience is. Do they go to somewhere because of a sign, or do they go to somewhere because something captures their attention? They want to be able to know these things without doing it in a realistic store. Yeah? So consumer insights is a big push at the moment, and I think you're going to see a lot of things coming up here pretty soon around consumer insights and the capturing of that data. That's it. Thank you.
And I'll let you introduce yourself so you can pronounce your name correctly.
Hello everyone, good evening. For those wondering, my name is João Adeldato. It's quite hard to say that. I'm from Brazil. That's why my name is a bit strange. And I'm really glad to be here. I hope we can share a lot of experiences, ideas. And I brought up some material to you to show what we as Tetra Pak are doing in terms of AR and VR. Right? I have some videos to show you. I'll show you a bit about the company too. I wonder how many of you have heard of Tetra Pak? Can you raise your hand? Okay. A bit more than ESCO, but we work like in the background too. Okay, so I joined Tetra Pak in 2017. I work in the Industry 4.0 team with business development. So basically I go to customers that want to have digital solutions like integrating different production systems they have, and also connecting the whole supply chain to get as much as insight as they can from that data that is generated along the way. So this is our vision. It's quite a strong statement, right? We commit to making food safe and available everywhere. And this is what inspires us and what motivates us, right? It explains why we do what we do. And that is summed up in our promise as well, right? So in every single Tetra Pak package out there, you see that motto printed. And it's an open-ended promise, right? So we take ownership of the word protect, and we want to protect people, environment, and the future. So that allows us to pursue opportunities not only in existing businesses in the food and beverage industry, but also new businesses. So this is why we're exploring, and AR is one of those areas that we're venturing into. So we've been around for more than 65 years now. Tetra Pak is a Swedish company, a private company. It was founded in 1952 by a guy called Ruben Rausing. He's a Swedish inventor. He created the first tetrahedral package for storing milk. And he created it with the idea that a package should save more than it costs. And this phrase made the whole foundation for the company, right? So we grew on top of that. We expanded on top of that. And throughout the years, in the 60s, in the 70s, we introduced to the market the first aseptic carton package, right? It's considered to be the greatest food innovation of the 20th century, allowing products to be to be stored in perfect condition for up to 24 months, depending on the type of the product. And these are some facts numbers. We have a turnaround of around 11.5 billion euros yearly, around 25,000 employees in more than 170 countries, more than 5,000 sites served globally. We have customers like Arla Foods, Mondelez, Mars, Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, Nestle, Costner, basically every player out there of the food and beverage industry. We have more than 100,000 physical assets out there, our installed base, and what's interesting is that about a third of that equipment is connected and sending data. So you can imagine that massive amount of data, and we don't have the competence to work with that data. So we partnered with Microsoft as our main IT and infrastructure partner for that, and they provide us cloud service for any exploration we want to do with AR, for example. We have adopted HoloLens as our device for that. So the service part of Tetra Pak is quite significant. We have around 3,000 service engineers out there. They're not located in a service base or in the office. They're spread out there at the customer sites, helping them out with the daily issues they have with machine equipment. We have specialists that take care of our systems, that help troubleshoot. We have call centers 24/7. It's a very wide portfolio. We also provide consumables like glues, hot melts to seal packages. We provide the packaging material. We provide the filling machines. We provide the pasteurization equipment as well. So it's a huge portfolio, trust me. Okay, so let's talk about AR. Our journey starts in 2014 with a small Italian company, and we were using those sets to validate the concept of having remote support using augmented reality. So let's say we have a filling machine at a customer, and the filling machine had a problem, and our only specialist available is in Italy, and the guy is in China, for example, the customer. So without having that specialist flying over to China, which would take days and would cost a lot, we validated that using a toolkit like that, a headset, is valid, is effective, and it works. So this is how we started, and in 2017 we decided to partner with Microsoft with HoloLens, as I told you, and then we decided to invest in the pilots and in the technology, right? So we ran around 30 pilots from that year on, and we now have around 40 to 50 customers with service contracts that have HoloLens as an enabler, right? As a device that their staff and our staff can use to solve issues quicker. So what lessons have we learned with that, right? First, we think of competence as three pillars: people, process, and tool, right? So HoloLens, most of all, is not a toy, right? And there needs to be training from both sides. We need to develop the back office capability to have someone answering that call and being effective in solving the issue. And we had some quick wins, right? Good feedback from customers that really like the idea of having an augmented reality set, someone fixing the machine quite easily and rapidly. And then we established a process, right, to have someone answering that call. We use Microsoft Teams and Skype to make those calls. I'll show a video later on. And yeah, so the set needs to be hands-free as well. Battery life is also an important factor, and the bandwidth. There needs to be good infrastructure for that. So I'll just jump this slide here. Mainly feedback from around the world, people using the technology. And this is a nice video. This is a service engineer that is having issues with the filling machine. Do we have someone?
Good morning, this is Mike. How are you?
Hi Mike, I'm fine, thanks.
I have a problem with a Tetra Pak A3 speed. I have a random problem on the package sealing and I don't know where to look for faults.
Yes, I can see that you have a problem. Do you have any other indications?
The operator panel shows me a sealing alarm, link number 7.
Okay, thanks. Please show me the backside of packing form during link
So
7.
the specialist will
I found it. What should I look
put
for?
a 3D model later
I'm
on,
sure you will.
Okay, thanks.
the drawing.
This is the area that you need to work on.
He highlights the area.
And the passport. Can you show it to me, please?
Yes.
Please dismantle it. Loose the screw that holds the inductor on the passport.
Okay, this is what it looks like.
Looks like there's a crack in the insulation. It will have to be replaced. Do you know how to do that?
I do. Thanks a lot for the help. I'll do the replacement and then we can resume production.
That's
Great.
it.
Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Quick and easy, less downtime, right? Good for us, good for the customer. And then we use HoloLens for also other applications, right? We use not only for remote support, but also for project engineering. When we have a lot of lines, the customer wants to have different lines to produce different products. And he has a site and he wants to see if he has enough space or if he will have any safety problems, if he needs to put a ladder to pass from one line to the other, those type of things. We also use for trainings. So this is where we have some of our virtual reality experience, right? It's still, we're kind of exploring still because, well, we need to develop the whole virtual classroom and the filling machines, and you know the systems are complex. But we want to have trainings inside virtual classrooms, right? It's cost effective as well. We don't need you know, service engineers stopping their work for weeks, maybe even months to have those specific trainings. And then I have here the example of the HoloLine is where we showcase to a customer how his plant would look like, right, in real scale on his site. And it was good to have, the discussion around the project, around the requirements, get some feedback from the customer and so on.
Efficient installations of new equipment is key to ensuring.
Oh God, I'm running out of time. You can see that video. You can see that video there. They're all here. Okay. Okay, so I just show you what we're doing internally, right, with AR, and now I'm going to show you about the package, what we're doing with the package as a channel to communicate to consumers and use it as a touch point to generate data for the manufacturers, right, to map out the consumer profile they have, the distribution they're having, if it's effective or not, and so on. So this is a platform that we developed. It's free. You can also download it on App Store. Unfortunately, we don't have any American brand that has any designs here. But similar to ASCO, the way that we see this is that we're providing the packaging material in the design of the brand already, and then this app is much more a channel, right? And it has different APIs. So we provide like a kit to the customer, and he can develop his own animations and videos and work with that. So, for example, it's good for kids. They can see what fruits are inside the juice they're consuming, or the history of how that orange or apple was harvested. and it's just a visual recognition of the side of the package, and there's a library that recognizes the brand, and then it plays the animation. So this video is from 2018. It was piloted in some customers in South America and Europe. I'm out of time already. You can see that video over there. And then we also have a different platform, right, which is based on unique codes for the packages. So we have factories that are producing the carbon material, right, with the designs of the brands. And then on those designs, we also put a code, right, a serialized code. So each package has a unique identity. And that package can be traced throughout the entire value chain, right? It's a different solution than the one I just showed you, and you see it's a journey, right? So the first stage is the codified package. The second stage is the connected package. Is when consumers scan the package, and then it goes to the cloud, and we get data from them. We know who they are, we know where they are, we know their age. We can engage with them with price contests and whatsoever. And then in the future, we're exploring also RFID technologies and other types of codes and signal emitters to have, for example, a smart fridge that knows when you're running out of milk, and then automatically purchases the milk from the closest retail store. So this is how we see the future of packaging with that type of technology. Some more examples here of how we can use those codes, right? Treasure hunt, recycling application, product information, engagement with kids, whatsoever. Logistics, also efficiency of marketing campaigns. And that's it, thank you. You can all see the video right here, all the videos.
So I'm going to welcome Eli and Michael and back to stage real quick, and we'll do some questions. Give me 1 second, I'm going to change the slides. Okay, so each of you should have a microphone. Where's my representative from 1871? Are you here? I don't see that we have a microphone around in the audience, so I'm probably just going to hand this one off actually to Victor, and I'll borrow yours if I need it.
Oh yeah.
Who's going to be the actual brave person that is going to take the first question? So hang on, actually, let me actually text 1871 and let them know that we're getting started with the panel early. If you guys want to grab a drink real quick and then come on back. We got through presentations a little bit faster than I was expecting, so.
How about in the meantime, are there any Bears fans here?
I went to the preseason game and was a bit disappointing. You lost to the Titans.
I have a question. How dare you?
I'm sorry. I don't know much about American football. I was just like, okay, let's go to the stadium. But I know that number 10 is really good. And the guy with like Russian name, Trubisky.
Same guy.
He's really good.
Same guy.
But he wasn't playing that day.
Alright, so
Is this working? Okay, so who's going to be the first one that's going to ask the question? Or I can go to this Miss Hannah one. There we go.
So this question is for Michael in particular. So you said that using VR you were able to model the whole like malls retail stores, supermarkets. Do you think that giving customers the possibility to see these places from their comfort of their home will reduce the foot traffic at these particular businesses?
So yes, a good question. You talk about more the virtual shopping experience of walking through a supermarket online. Is that what you're sort of referring to? Yeah. So I don't think we're quite there yet, but obviously that's the next evolution of this, right? So it's the crossover or the connection between a physical brick and mortar store and what you know today as an online shopping experience, which is not very cool, right? It's not like a gaming experience. It's just pick from a drop-down list. There's a picture, you can spin it around. Big deal, right? A lot of people today, they want to be able to walk through an environment and go to an aisle like they do normally and pick stuff off an aisle. And so we see it going there. But currently, what our software can do is generate those environments, and then the brands themselves are able to test, layouts, test positioning, styles, packaging, concepts, competitive product placement. So companies like Walmart, Sam's Club, this is a huge thing for them, yeah? Because brand companies pay a lot of money to be in a specific position on a shelf. So I don't know how much you know about Walmart, but extremely strict about who displays in their company and where they display and how much money they get charged to do that. So they want to make sure they're in the right spot and people are going to buy their product. So that's sort of how we sell that idea, that concept of how virtual can help them do that. But I hope that answered your question.
So you're focusing right now on the businesses themselves rather than these being a service for the customers then? That's what I'm getting at?
Correct, yeah. So we basically sell the software. We just sell the service of creating the virtual environments if they want us to. But we try and teach the brand customers themselves if they have the talent pool to be able to do it themselves. However, we can support the creation of the packages and the creation of the virtual stores if they want us to. And we're currently doing that with a number of large supermarket brands in North America. They just want us to do it because it's quicker if we do it, and to be honest, the money is not really that bad. So,
Thank you.
thank you. Quicker.
So I was going to say, just from what I've seen technology-wise in terms of the shopping experience for the consumer level, there hasn't been a whole lot of like VR shopping for consumers yet. You're seeing it on AR a little bit more, where you're seeing like Amazon's giving you the ability now to have an AR app that'll show you stuff. But from an actual VR, like when I think VR shopping, I'm sorry, you guys remember like the Cars.com commercial where it's like, okay, I'm looking for an SUV, and then there's like 8 million SUVs, like, no, I want a white one, and then they all just filter out. Like, that's kind of what I picture the VR shopping experience is going to be like when it actually gets there, because you could literally name any product and just have it do that. That'd be kind of cool. I don't think we're there yet, though.
So what you're saying is very interesting, right? So in a virtual world, you don't have to walk around. You can fly, yeah? So if you think about that, or you can teleport from one position to another. So that's going to be where the big thing is, right? I don't just want to walk around. It's going to take me a while to get there. I just want to teleport from here to there. So that's the difference in that interaction portion.
And just adding to that, all the interaction that you have in that virtual world will generate data, and data is the new oil for our century. So it's all usable if you know how to take value out of it.
The question that I have is, as AR and VR becomes more disruptive in the sales chain, the marketing, IKEA, you can go and see how your furniture fits into your room, in your house. You can try on clothing. Isn't this, in a sense, going to put stores out of business?
So can I answer that?
Go ahead.
So I have.
I'll answer that.
Sorry. So one of my colleagues that I used to work with developed the app for the AR. He now works pretty high up in Wayfair. So I don't know if you all know who Wayfair is, right? It's one of the biggest online furniture shopping experiences. So they just built a brick and mortar store in Boston, yeah? And then why do they do that? Because they want their customers to experience things. So that's going the opposite direction, right? They started online, and now they're going to brick and mortar stores. So it's an interesting transversal of concept of starting at brick and mortar and going online to make your money. They're going the other way. So for me, I wonder why they do that. I know, because I want to be able to sit on a chair, right? Virtually is not going to do it for me. So yeah, to answer your question, I think it can go either way at this point.
So if you have, jump into
Yeah, I have to add on that. I think we're talking about different generations as well. So I was just talking with Michael, and me, for example, I've just had like my recent purchases of clothing online, and it didn't went so well. I needed to return it and get it back a few times. But I think that having AR and VR as a way for consumers to shop from the comfort of where they are without going on the street. I think that will capture a lot of people that's growing up and it's part of this new generation.
Yeah, and I'll just add, it's, when I interact with AR, it brings me closer to the brand, whether or not I'm buying it there at that moment via the AR channel through the mechanisms that they place within the AR experience or not. It's bringing me closer to that brand. I'm getting to learn the fabrics, the cuts, the tops better. And now when I'm out in the store, I'm more likely to go to that type of shop. So, to Michael's point, I think it can cut either way. I think there's some certain types of CPG products that maybe it will take you away from the in-store experience because it's too easy to get it, it's too commoditized, you don't need to go get it out in the actual store itself. But there's plenty of other things, there's plenty of other products out there that I think will just bring you closer to that brand story, to create enough value to offset what you'll lose in on-site sales.
I have sort of a hypothetical question that's sort of farther in the future, but as a designer, it's interesting to me that if all packages and all packaging and all things begin to talk to you visually, the shopping experience could be rather nightmarish, since it's all talking. Now it's unique, it's 6 or 7 products in an aisle. Oh, look, I found one, how cool. But when we get a few years in the road and they're all screaming at you, is there any plans to counteract that? Is there a design, or are we just rushing straight forward into the midst at this point and not really thinking about that?
I'll just give you a quick answer from my perspective. So I've shown that virtual store, not that store, but custom stores that I've built to many brands, and one of the first things they ask is, can it play video, right? When you walk down an aisle, can you trigger something that will play specifically for you? And look, all of our data is out there, right? All the supermarkets have it. They know when you shop. Joel said it perfectly. They know every time you touch their Tetra Pak products, right? And that's sort of scary, but it's actually sort of cool because they can customize and promote directly to you. That's the future. A lot of companies, they know that they have to go there. They want that brand, not only recognition, they want that brand loyalty to be there forever and a day. And they want to capture you and keep you. How do they do that? Is they personalize straight to you. So personalization, as nightmarish as it sounds, it's going to be there. Everything's going to be calling out your name when you walk down that supermarket aisle. It's unfortunate, but that's just have you seen the movie with Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
That's exactly how it's going to be.
That's 8 years old.
Yeah, I'll just add on to that. I think this is maybe somewhat a slight difference between AR and VR, because VR, I've seen the horror stories where you're walking down an aisle and everything's screaming you at the same decibel level, and it's like, how do I make heads or tails of anything else? From an AR perspective, I think you could pick and choose those stories a little better. Which brands do I want to engage with? And if they all are, AR enhanced, it's your choice if you want to engage with them further. And at that point becomes, do you have a further story to tell me at this point or not? Is it just your static physical image right there, or can I engage with you at a deeper level? Can I bookmark this somewhere? Explore this later? So I think the difference there may be a little bit nuanced, but I think it's important from a VR versus AR perspective.
Yeah, so I agree with you both. I think the experience is what the marketing will focus more on. You know, the individual, the customized experience, the tailored experience. So I don't think that in the future someone will go into the store and have everything screaming at him. You have his most favorite product screaming at him, and like, hey, last time you were here, you bought me, and you bought also this. Now I have a deal for you. Come get me. You know, I think that'll be the future. It'll be easier for us as well, right? So we spend less time in the, in the retail stores and so on.
So I'll just give you another personal experience. So I have a 19 children, right? And they filter very quickly, like Snapchat, all those apps allow them to process stuff very quickly and filter out the junk and only keep what they want to see. So I think it's coming down to human nature at that point. But what captures my attention and why? What do I want it to? Or do I just turn off? That's what a lot of stuff's going to be screaming at you, but you have the ability to filter it out or ignore it, like a 19-year-old does, right? Everything you say. So.
Yeah, I would close and say this. I think at some point it's just going to be table stakes. At some point we're having this conversation about websites in general. Everyone has a website. What's the difference going to be? I think it's going to be table stakes at some point. Either you're playing the game or you're not.
Really quick, plain and simple. Right now, this is the AR device. If you're walking through the store, nothing's screaming at you if it's there. It's still just choice.
Hi, my question is, considering AR as a relatively new technology and packaging industry is a traditional business, what are the challenges that you faced in convincing the stakeholders to adopt to this new technology? First question, you can say top 3 challenges and how you came, overcoming the challenges to make stakeholders accept this technology to implement in real time. Second is, what are the 3 things that the stakeholders actually see to make sure that this technology is going to come to the industry? A generic one.
I'll start with that one. Your first question, the food and beverage industry is one of the most traditional ones out there. So they're kind of like really conservative. It's traditional model, harvest, or just get the milk, put it through the processing machines, pack it, and that's it. So our work as a company that wants to bring this industry to the next level and to explore and to innovate is to go to these customers and say, look, can you see the value behind having data from your consumer, for example? You can do that through AR. Do you know what is the engagement you're having with your brand? Do you know who is consuming your product? And that opens up many doors for them, right? So it's a tough work. It's a challenge, most of all. And there are different production systems, for example, and the whole supply chain may be very complex. So you can harvest something from, Brazil and send it to the United States or to China. And the whole thing, I think, is about data. It's about having the different touch points in the value chain, generating data, and knowing exactly what to do with that. So if you can convince the customers of the value of that, about the value of that data, then I think you're on the right path. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, that was a good question, and there's just so much to unpack in that question. But it's such an important question to ask because I sit in these meetings with clients and customers that we're close with, and I'd say there's probably 3 things that it really comes down to. First is just educating them on what they can do. So there's just this huge educational component. And when I'm in the room with these Fortune 500 companies, you go in there and in my mind, I'm thinking they're going to know half of this deck, they're going to know what I'm already talking about. And I'm always surprised at how little they know about AR specifically, and what the possibilities are when you go into it. So there's a huge educational component to this. I'd say the second biggest one is obviously the budget component, not just what it's going to cost for the startup initial phase to get things going, but to also keep it running. So there's the educational component, there's the budget component, and I think the biggest one that I encounter, that I see out there, that I hear from my colleagues is, I can get someone excited about taking an AR meeting, and they're ready to go, they're on board. But it's getting organizational support to say that this is something that I want to try for the first time. They have so many traditional mediums of advertising they can go through, and they're established. They know they're not going to get in trouble. They're not sticking their neck out. The bosses are going to yell at them. They don't have to procure a budget for anything. It's like, let's just go with this because it's simple. We've done it 1,000 times. We know we're going to get X ROI on this, so let's just go with that. So it's getting people excited, but it's also getting them to realize and get motivated enough to go out there and try something new. Now, how do you do that? That's the billion-dollar question. So I think the biggest thing that I've seen be successful is taking it from showing them something, having them say, wow, this is cool, to saying, okay, while yes, this is cool, and yes, this is interesting, this is also a legitimate channel now. And you need to start looking at this as something that when you're game planning, when you're market planning, you're campaign planning, there's going to be an email component, there's going to be an AR component, there's going to be a digital component. Here's how they're going to interact, by the way, and here's the ROI, here's how we're going to track the metrics, and here's how we're going to prove to your boss so you don't look like a whatever to your boss at your next QBR. So I think there's the educational, the budget, and the getting the group support, but then there's spoon feeding him how you're going to do this. Here's our perspective, we've been through it, we've lived it, here's what's successful, here's how you can integrate it, give him the game plan, give him the implementation strategy to make it a success. So I think that answered all 6 of your questions, I hope. But I think it can set you down the right path. I think just considering those things. Good question.
So I'm going to take it down to real basics on my personal experience. Yeah. So I also walk into these brand companies and sit in them with a group of people, and it really comes down to age demographic. Yeah. I hate to say it, but it really does. So, I look around the room, and if there's millennials in the room, I'm like stoked. They're going to get it. They're going to be just salivating over this stuff, right? So one of the first things I do is I get anybody in the room, I get them to get their phones out, download our free app, and play around with it, because that puts everybody on the same level, right? You've got the CEO that's 60, you've got the millennial kids, you've got everybody in between. Everyone's already uncomfortable because it's a technology that maybe they're not familiar with or they don't understand. And you want to put them all on the same plane, the same level, so that you can at least get to the point of discussion where everybody understands the direction that they should be going. You've got to find a champion, and look, those champions are the millennial generation and the iGen generation, yeah? Because they're the ones that understand it the most and are comfortable with it. It's their everyday lifestyle. So that's personally what I do. Now, I've seen a shift in the last couple of years. Why? Because more millennials are moving into positions of power within these brands, yeah? The younger generation are in procurement, they're in management positions. I mean, look at Joe. Joe's, 26, right? And that is just a statement in itself. So I think there's a move now in the innovation and acceptance because of that. Because some of the older generation really don't care, and they really don't understand it, are sort of moving out of the way and letting the new generation come through and try these things within their company. So that, to be honest, the last few years for me, this stuff has been going nuts. They're calling me, which is very strange, right? Because usually I'm calling them. When that turns into them phone calling me and say, hey, we'd like to see your virtual store, can you come and present that? Then I know that they're getting it, right? They're almost there. But you've got to do what Eli was talking about to get them all the way there, to sign that check. That's the hard part. Hopefully that answered your question at more of a basic level from my experience.
Yeah, unfortunately, he asked a kind of a question I was going to ask, so you guys have answered that. But interestingly enough, everybody on the panel is selling to businesses that sell to consumers. So my question, now I have to pivot, is how do you see a company going to a business that sells to other businesses. So, and the second part of that question is, okay, so we've established that we're early in the innovation curve. And what is your prediction on how long it's going to take these people to get it? I mean, you know, is it going to be a while? Are we going to go through an 18-month, 24-month period? That's all. Curious.
Start this one, actually.
So companies, they sell to companies that sell to consumers. I'm saying, what are your ideas about companies that sell to other companies, manufacturers, things like fabricators, things like that? Because the AR world and the VR world have a place at that table. It's just a matter of trying to figure that out.
Well, so honestly, the B2B technology capabilities of these technologies, B2B is a bigger market right now than B2C.
Yes.
B2C is hard. Like, you actually have to get consumers to download the app. You have to get consumers to try things. B2B, you show them the ROI and they're like, gotcha, easy. And so, like, what we're doing with, Bundle AR, this is my company, we're pretty much exclusively B2B. Now, we have customers that are B2B2C, but ultimately our customers are almost primarily all B2B. And I can't go into customer space. But basically, there's certain applications where even when you're building technology that seems like it would be a B2C technology, it can be applied the same way in a B2B sense, where, okay, I'm doing a sales tool using augmented reality. It's not being, this is a company that never buys. The consumer never sees this product. And I mean, there's one company we're working with right now. I guarantee you have physically touched their product probably 100,000 times in your life, but you probably never heard of the company. But they're using augmented reality now basically to sell to their customers in terms of, okay, here's what it's going to look like, here's what it's going to look like in space, here's how the product, So similar concept, but they're purely B2B. I don't think they even sell to consumers at all. And ultimately, some of the other use cases that, God, I'm never going to try. I feel so bad trying to say his name, Joel. Some of the use cases he brought up where you look at it, where it's like, okay, they're talking about manufacturing and doing assistance on manufacturing. The amount of cost savings that you can get from doing it, I know we looked at it with a power generation company. One day down is like $4 million lost. And so if they can cut that time frame down, even by 2 or 3 days, just by having somebody do remote support over a HoloLens, that's a huge savings to them. I mean, what's the cost of a HoloLens? $3,000? It's a no-brainer when you start talking to them in terms of ROI. So B2B is embracing this tech. We had AEC as our panel last month. You should see all of their use cases. A lot of the use cases you showed here in terms of maintenance, training. For VR, training is a huge one. Because what does it take to take 20 executives out of their role, fly them to some city for 3 days, and then sit them in a hotel room, each of them in hotel rooms, plus you're renting the ballroom, plus you're doing production to actually provide them training, versus having them all go to their office, put their headset on, and participate in the group in the same training. So anyway.
Go ahead.
Or just I think the B2B environment, the AR and VR is about making life easier. So I showed you the example of the HoloLens, where we try out the layouts of a different pieces of equipment, and that makes the wow factor from the customer side. And that also makes our lives easier as well, right? We can plan better, and as long as we as long as we know where exactly to put those devices and that technology in the existing processes, then I think it's totally worth it. For example, Tetra Pak has launched a marketplace, online marketplace for parts now. So that's business to business, retail, online. So that's where we're going. Why not have maybe in the future, also those 3D models in VR, maybe an app, and then he can see exactly which piece he wants to purchase. So that's where we're heading right now.
So there's so many avenues right now that you can go down with this technology, right? So the first thing you really need to do is find a niche and make it repeatable, right? You don't want to be unique every single time, because that's going to cost you more money than you can make. So find something that solves a problem, solves an issue, or gives benefit, and then find other customers that are similar and repeat that with them. Yeah, that's my only advice I can give you there. And that's what we've tried to do, right? We've tried that same model, and it's working, because The problem is the same. And just to expand on your experience with the hotel room, we have a customer today that the corporate office is in Columbus, Ohio. They have a pretty big office in New York City. Every Friday they fly a plane load of executives out to New York City to approve new product lines, right? And then they fly back every Friday, a whole plane load of people. Now imagine if they could do that with AR or VR, which they can, right? But they don't want to. Why? Because they like going to New York. They like going shopping every Friday. It's as simple as that. They're executives. They don't want it to change. So you think they're going to get on board with that? It's a difficult...
generational, because
and
the younger generation won't necessarily want to go to New York.
True, but if you live in Columbus, you probably do.
In Chicago.
You could just make your own New York thing, right? You just walk into yourself and say,
Yeah, I would only add, I love B2B for AR, VR applications. You know the audience a lot better, you know the message they need to hear. It's so much less disparate with ideas and opinions and demographics. It's so much more targeted. So I mean, I think maybe to your point, B2B is such a great avenue for AR, I think. And I would add, because I was just talking to someone about this the other day, you talk about the growth curve of where AR is and how it's at the beginning. And I was talking to an executive for at a large beer company, and we talked about how, are you guys familiar with like the new tech innovation curve where it goes up?
It's called innovation diffusion curve.
Yeah, diffusion, yeah. I would say that, in my opinion, I would say, I'd say we hit the hype stage, we went down. I remember it was like, hey, this is so cool, this is so exciting, we forgot to track ROI though. We didn't do it in an omnipresent campaign. We don't, what the hell, what did we spend money on? I don't know, but wasn't that cool? I think then it kind of crashed. I think now we're reapproaching it with our eyes wide open, saying this is how we need to track things. It needs to be part of a larger overall campaign. So I think we're restarting, but in a much smarter way, with much more strategic focus on how it's being utilized.
If you're talking about the Gartner innovation curve, augmented reality hasn't exited it, or is in a plateau. VR exited it last year, augmented reality exited it this year. It was published like 3 or 4 days ago. So AR is past the curve, is considered an existing product.
Not in the Trump disillusion. Not in the Trump disillusion. It's no longer in the Trump. It's beyond the plateau of
productivity or whatever it's called.
Could you just expand on that? Are they saying it is, like, I get from like a Pokemon perspective, perspective, it is, but like, would you say it is from a retail experience perspective?
Well, so, I mean, they're still, they have their specifics and their niches. So like VR as a technologist, as a general VR technology, exited last year, but they still have things like virtual workspaces still is right now currently at the top of the hype cycle. So there's specific pieces of it that are in certain areas, and like augmented reality glasses are still, very early on the curve. Other use cases, I can't remember the specifics from the curve, but augmented reality as a technology in and of itself being used in industry, being used in consumer technology, actually showing ROI, effectively accepted at this point that this is not something that's going away, this is everyday tech nowadays. So, it has the start, and then it has the whatever the hype cycle is, and then it drops to the trough, and then it hits what's called a plateau of productivity. And then once you're effectively beyond that, you're now existing tech, people are just using you. So yeah, as of this year, as of the one that was published, I don't know if it was published a week ago or a month ago, but it's recently, augmented reality as just an existing tech is off of it. It's considered existing tech.
So if you take it back to what the impact is on packaging, right? So packaging today there's so many choices, too many choices, right? It's hard to go in a store and there's 20 different things I can select. So this technology is people are trying to set themselves apart, right? So the problem with a lot of these brand companies is they don't have the time, number one, right, to really go out there. So they've got to employ the right people to do it for them. And usually that, of course, is the younger generation that understands the technology. When they employ them, they figure out how they can start to introduce this to capture that new market. That new market is the younger generation, right? They want to get them out there and purchasing that product because the older generation just understands that they have choice and they have their loyalties, and that's pretty much it. They're not going to change because an app comes out that something pops up and spins around. They don't care, but the younger generation does. And to be honest, with the more metadata and the metrics that are out there, so Joel was talking about things showing up, what's in. So like a visual ingredients panel, That stuff is very interesting, and especially to a lot of the younger generation. Why? Because they care. They care about the planet, they care about what they're eating, they care about waste. You know, and packaging, let's face it, packaging is just waste. There's no other purpose for it, really. If you think about that, it's just a whole product and you dump it, right? So it's sort of it's the new generation, the new sort of green way of thinking. And again, you know, I recognize this because I have a 19-year-old son, and I look at him and his friends and what they're into. Yeah, they're into gaming, number one, right? But they're also into sustainability, right? They don't want to be a wasteful generation. They don't want, you know, these islands of plastic floating around in the Pacific. They abhor that idea of that. And that's what we've done so far with what we've been doing with packaging. So maybe it's a good time to start with this new technology, right? Where we're not creating so much packaging, where we can be very specific and very targeted and only produce what we need, not more than what we need.
I wanted to follow up on, Eli, what you had mentioned about one of the primary hurdles, and that is resources. Curious your guys' thoughts on the resource of talent in-house with these companies and brands, the kind of people that need to be, whether on the technical side or on the marketing side or on the design side, that need to be with those companies to really increase adoption. And are you seeing that shortage of that kind of talent in these companies?
Yeah. So resources from a dollar perspective is difficult because they have to tap into brand new buckets to make AR a reality. And that is both from a, you know, creating the actual ads, the marketing campaigns themselves, there's that. Then there's also we either need to very quickly and very efficiently smarten up on this technology, bring it in-house, and to that right there, like, for a lot of people, without proof of concept, that's almost a non-starter for them. So I think the value of working with a company like a Bumble AR is you can have all that expertise brought to you as a package. So it's like, you bring me your ideas, I'm gonna bring you the metrics and the know-how, and we can make this work together. And if at the end of this, you can't see the value in it, we haven't proven the value, you can wash your hands of it, and you haven't made an investment that's gonna cost you your job. So I think there's different ways to go about it. I think once you hit a certain, you know, spot in the curve, if you will, of this proving something that your business is going to work with going forward, then potentially you can work with a third service provider who brings some components in-house, and you could smarten up a couple of your designers and send them to a couple 3D classes potentially, and maybe, you know, augment your own project or your own marketing cycle, if you will. But I think, you know, there's just different stages to it, and there's trade-offs with each of them. But I can tell you, from my perspective, going in there, working with these organizations and telling them, you don't have to worry about any of that. You don't have to worry about hiring and firing someone. We'll bring the team to you. You bring the ideas to us. We'll make it happen. Creates a lot more of an efficient, smooth process that they're willing to buy into.
Okay, real quick, show of hands. How many people are in AR, VR space again? How many of you are developers? Content creators? UX specialists? Designers? Storytellers? AR, VR industry needs all of these. Like, this is new tech. People don't understand how to use it yet. And so, you know, like I said, Bundle AR, we're in our company. Obviously, we have this expertise in-house. Some of the worldwide brands that I saw from, I think it was your slide, they have no concept of how to use this technology. It's new to them. It's like the web in the 90s. They don't get it. Oh, it's a one-time thing. I'll just build this thing and then I'm done, right? No, this is a channel of communications you're going to be using for the next 30 years or more. And so you need to be able to tell stories in 3 dimensions using context in a way that you've never been able to do it before. And yeah, there's expertise, but it's limited, it's small. So if you're studying this stuff, or if you're working in this stuff, or you have some experience, you've got a really, really nice future ahead of you, just like anybody who knew how to program a website did in 1995. You're gonna be the ones who get the positions, get the experiences, and keep moving forward. A lot of the companies, I'll tell you right now, the job market right now is gonna be kind of weird because companies don't recognize that they need this yet. And when they do, they're so far behind
You know, we had a meeting with a worldwide brand the other day, and it's funny because they came to us with a very, very specific request, and the only thing that we could do coming out of the meeting was shake our heads and be like, they really just don't get it. And so I wrote a paragraph basically saying, okay, here's why you're asking the wrong questions right now, and here's really what you should be looking at. Sorry, we can't work with you, because whatever you're asking for right now is not going to work. I'll be the first one to tell you, it's not going to work, sorry. Go ahead and talk to the other 3 people who are on the call with us, because we can't support this. You know, and it's kind of weird to say that when you're looking at a very, very big contract that they're just like, somebody please come build this for us, and you're like, it's going to fail.
Can I just add to that? So what he said was very true, right? Don't assume that these companies, high tech or not, really understand this technology. More often than not, I go into companies, I'm like, oh yeah, they've probably got all this stuff. They've probably seen it 100 times. They've never seen it, right? You pull out the AR and they're like, oh wow, you're like, it's been around for 10 years. You know, and it's companies that I think, you know, that I'm sort of going against a brick wall, but they have no idea. So not only is the opportunity there to educate these companies, they're going to have to go this direction. If they're going to compete, they need to go this direction, right? That means they need talent, back to your question. What are we doing as a company to enhance that? We've donated all of our software to all the universities that we can that do anything creative, like Clemson and RIT, you know, Rochester Institute. We've donated to all these, Cal Poly. Why? Because we want to create our own talent pool. Number one, we want to be able to pick the best people from there to work for our company. Number two, they typically go to brands or companies that will use the technology and educate them. Just like Apple did with Apple Computer, right? The reason why Apple Computer is as good as it was because they donated all into all the schools. So that's sort of how we are helping move the industry in a way that they, you know, these young people that get these jobs can influence the people above them that don't know about this. And that's sort of the way that we recognize. But again, don't assume these companies know. And you'd be surprised at who some of these companies are. I know I was. I was like, you got to be kidding me. You know, that's like, yeah. I wish I could say their names, but I'm embarrassed to do myself.
Yeah, we can't name names. I was going to say one other company that we're actually working with, so you might see something from them in the future. We went in, they had a directive apparently from on high that they have to do something with augmented reality. This is a technology company. And so they brought us in. We were not the first company in there to talk to them about how to implement AR and how to see value from implementing AR. We were 3rd or 4th, I think. And we start our presentations by showing you stuff. We pull out our business card, we play a video on it, we show our banners that you guys saw on the back and show them different experiences. We got to the business card, and C-level executive from the company's like, stop, you're already showing this more than anyone else saw, what's next? We're like, we're not the first company here, what did the other people do? This is the first thing we're going to show you. We've got 45 more minutes of demonstrations before we even get to the content. And so, yeah, don't assume that there's a lot of knowledge about this stuff out there. It really, you probably have more in this room than you do in a lot of these larger companies in terms of the experience level. And yeah, there's a knowledge gap there, and there's the connection gap there, which, by the way, even if you didn't raise your hand earlier and you're from one of those companies, feel free to talk to some of the people in this room, because that happens. You know, we did the Magic Leap training last week, and we had representatives from some pretty big companies who were taking that training. And hopefully some of the other people who were in the training met them and spoke with them, and they're getting those connections made. That's what this event's for. It's one of the reasons for it. Anyway, next up.
So there's been a lot of talk lately, it's been around for a while about how tech is development, is fast development and growth, has been changing human relationships. We've been also talking about mental health and technology. So I was thinking about Michael's point about the executives getting on the plane, also maybe because they want to go shopping. But I'm looking at possibly the social aspect too, something that they may look forward to. So I guess I'm trying to formulate a question around looking at the human dynamics that we may forego along with the advancement in technology. Could you speak to that?
Yeah, I'll speak to it real quick. So I had this conversation with someone earlier, Hal. So we talked about the Oculus Rift and that, the headset technology. It's very isolating, right? It's very non-social, yeah? The reason why it is right now is because it's not a multiple type player. technology with it. There's no, so to speak, avatars that you can walk around with your friends in these virtual worlds. When that opens up, which I believe it will, that'll make it a bit more sociable. But right now, you know, and again, I always refer back to my son, that him and his friends will not sit in a room and put these headsets on, you know, or one of them won't while everybody else is, you know, doing whatever. It's just not a social experience for them. If they can put them all on, you know, all at the same time and be in there together, maybe. But, you know, that's pretty good size expense there. And, you know, so I agree to your point. There's a human aspect in this that definitely comes into it. As cool as this technology is, sometimes I love it, sometimes I really hate it, right? Because it just takes away hours of your day, like the internet used to, right? So I don't know how to answer that question. I think it's going to come down to personal choice again. And look, fortunately, unfortunately, younger generation, the choice has already been made for them, right? None of them walk around now without a phone in their hand. If you see a young kid without a phone, you're like what? So their choice is already made for them. They accept it, they expect it, and it's going to be part of their future. It wasn't part of mine, I know that. I didn't get a cell phone until I was 23. So for me, I could live without it. But I don't think the next generation can. So whether we like it or not, it's going to be there. It's just going to be a choice of, do you want to be involved or not? I hope that answers your question, mate. I'm not sure.
So, real quick, one of the first things I did in virtual reality is called Allspace. Who's familiar with it? Not a whole lot. Okay, Allspace is social. You basically are an avatar and you're in a world. And there's really not a whole lot. I mean, there's some like maze games and some other stuff in there, but ultimately you're in there to interact with other people. And so they actually do meetups in Allspace. We co-hosted about a year and a half ago. We actually co-hosted this meetup live and in Allspace. And we had 15 or 16 people in Allspace attending the meetup virtually. So, you know, there's things you can do. There's like the social aspects of it. It's going to evolve. It's going to change over time. And, you know, we talk about, I like to give the example of, you know, like with a mobile phone or with email. I was one of the people who's like, I'm never going to do my banking on a mobile. Are you kidding me? There's no way. I'm never going to check email on this. I know my parents were like, I'm never going to bank on my computer. Why would I do my banking on my computer? That can't be safe. But now they do because they realize, A, it's easier because they've made it that much harder to actually do anything in person or bank. And you know, I'm never going to check mobile. I'm never going to check email on this thing. It's like, I've got a computer. Why would I use a phone? It's so much easier to type with a keyboard. But I do my email on this thing all day, every day now. And so, you know, the technology is going to evolve, and people are going to find the use cases for it, and they're pretty much going to either do it or be left behind. But it's ultimately just another channel. It's just another way to connect with people. You know, I know people who are married that met in a video game. They were playing the video game together, and they had a relationship essentially for a year before they ever physically met in person. And then after they finally met in person, things evolved and they got married from it. And it sounds crazy if you would say something like that 10, 15 years ago, and now I know more than one that have done it. It's not uncommon. So yeah, basically the social aspects of this stuff change pretty quick. Doesn't take away from actual social, physical experience. That's still going to happen. I remember in the expo space, when virtual trade shows or webinars and stuff like that, people in the trade show industry were frightened to death that webinars were going to kill the trade show industry. Because oh my God, who's going to pay to go to a trade show if you can just do it on the web? It increased attendance at trade shows. You know, it's a different way of thinking, but it's not going to, you know. Virtual reality, augmented reality, mobile phones did not kill laptops. Laptops still exist. Virtual reality is not going to kill phones. It's just another interface.
So this question is for all of you, but specifically when Joe, you brought up your packaging and you brought up intelligent packaging, that made me think of IoT, Internet of Things, which I don't hear too much about anymore. And I'm wondering if you guys have an opinion, if you see AR, VR technology kind of intersecting with the Internet of Things and data, with them all converging into something even better?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in production side, we have so many different systems. You have like a maintenance system that's generating data. You have a production system that every package, single package that goes what we're going towards right now is creating this enterprise data lake in which we connect all of those systems, and then in that cloud we'll have artificial intelligence and algorithms running to extract the value and recognize patterns and try to use it in favor of the business. So in regards to your question about IoT, we're not yet in the point of installing, for example, sensors that communicate already directly with the cloud. We're not there yet, but the technology is becoming more and more cheaper, and I think that in the future things will be much more plug and play rather than having like a local network and then have a corporate network and then that corporate network connecting to the internet. So things will be more direct to connect. Exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of the challenge we face every day. Like the complexity of systems, very different data sources, file formats. How do you get one database to talk to the other in the best way possible with the information that you really want, and how to report that? Do you want to see it on your mobile phone? Do you want to see it on a big screen on the shop floor? Do you want to receive alerts through your email? So yeah, there's a lot of opportunities, with data. And just adding to what you said, like augmented reality and virtual reality, developers, content creators, these are jobs of the future. But data scientists and data analysts and data engineers, they are also being really looked after right now. We really need them. Every big company is looking for these guys right now.
So, sorry, can I just answer your question real quick? So, intelligent packaging, right? So it already exists today in many different forms and aspects. What Joe was talking about is absolutely correct, and with ESCO, our core business is exactly that. It's connecting systems to make sure they talk to each other so that information, that metadata, that intelligence flows freely back and forth, right? From one end of the spectrum, from the designer all the way to the printer and back again. For us, the 3D aspect of this, the AR, the VR is pretty much a nice spin-off. It's a bit of an icing on the cake for what we do with packaging. It gives a nice visual, right? But all the data and everything that exists around it, that's really where the core of the future is. So we can already do automated package creation. So basically type in a few metrics and it will create a package for you. It'll go out and source the imagery, it'll go out and source, all the data that you need and create. So basically, if you're a graphic designer of packaging, you might be in danger of not having a job in the future, because that, to be honest, can be done in an automated fashion, and it is being done. It's just a matter of, do you want to put the time and the effort and money into it to make it standard? So the second part of my question was, the problem today with a lot of this is because there is no actual standards. Yeah, it's a bit like the phone industry. Everybody's got a phone that has a different charger, right? A different connection. That's a problem. It's the same with this whole, what's going on now. Everybody's making their own file formats and, systems, and until we get some sort of standard, that's when I think this thing will progress even further, personally. I think at the moment everybody's just like competing with each other to try and get there first, wherever first is, right? I don't think anybody really knows, but that's how I see it going at the moment. We're sort of waiting for that standardization, to be honest.
So going back kind of to the job thing, and I guess to your point now, saying it's not very standardized at all, I've been kind of trying to think of like how to break into the industry from where I currently am, and as like a developer or designer in UX, something like that, right? What are maybe some tips you guys would have to kind of maybe break into the industry, maybe find like a place that's, like we were saying, the big companies, they'll need that and things like that, but it's hard to find kind of jobs are labeled different things that do the same thing, or totally unrelevant job titles to what the actual position is, and you need 10 years of experience in this and whatever, right? Just maybe any general advice you guys have for that would be great.
I'll give you a quick idea. go and bring a brand, you know, that sells something to the consumer, and sit them in a room with a gaming company, yeah? Because that's not being done today, and it should be, yeah? So how many people are out there gaming that could be shopping at the same time? It just doesn't exist. It could exist, you know? It's not a you know, groundbreaking idea. It just takes somebody to put those companies together and figure out that's where the money is.
But he's asking more, if he, as an individual, he's not going to have that opportunity. So as an individual who's trying to get to a brand that may not even know that they need VR AR expertise, how do you get in, how do you basically knock on their door and say, hey, I'm a VR AR expert, you need this?
Right, so that's what you've got to go in with, right? It's some sort of unique idea, something that challenges them on what they're doing today. You can't just go in with the same ideas everybody else has. You've got to go in with something that makes them think about it, right? So that's the hardest thing, is to come up with that idea that they're like, oh yeah. So I'll give you an example. So years ago, I went in and presented to Pokemon, to your point, right? And I showed them my art. And no one said a word, yeah? This was before they came out with their own Pokemon Go. No one said a word because they were already working on it. They didn't want to give away what they were going to do. Because I was shocked. I was like, wow, I just showed you something really cool, and no one said anything. And there's a reason why. It's because they already were in the midst of being able to put that out there. So that meeting ended pretty quick, but
I don't know if this can take your question at all. Maybe I really missed it, but like I have a buddy who's I think he's 26, 27, and his side hustle is just interning at an AR company, just learning about it. So it's like, yeah, there may not be the perfect training course, you know, for you if you're looking to learn more, but I mean, what the hell? I mean, you got time after work, hopefully, you know, if you work or do whatever, you know, just intern, do it for free, do it because you love it, learn, you know, and get some of the inside track knowledge and use that coupled with what you're learning already, and maybe parlay that into something. But he told me he was doing that, like, man, that's a really great idea. Why not, you know, take your free time and put it to use for yourself?
Yeah, I would add that too. You know, just being part of this here, getting to know the people who maybe are working on different projects of AR, VR. You know, just offer your hands to do something and, you know, create experience from that. And you know, when it comes to content creation and designing, it's always good to have your own portfolio. So like, this is Melvin, right? Melvin, this is me, this is my work, I have like a web space, you can look at it, and all that. That'll be, you know, your front page, your curriculum, so to say.
So I agree with that. So very early on when I started pitching 3D, I would go to the supermarket, buy the products of that customer that I was going to pitch to. I would recreate them using a software and make it look really nice, and I'd go in and present that, and they'd go, wow, how did you do that? Where'd you get our files from? No, I didn't, and this is how I did it, right? So that was my unique approach, to make them think about, well, how easy is that for that guy to go and buy something off the shelf, recreate it virtually, and then pitch it to us, and the ROI behind that. So that's what I mean by being sort of out of the box. If you go in and intern, you know, you could give some of your ideas, at least you'll have a foot in the door, right? That's the main thing, is get in there in front of these people. If you can't get in front of them, you cannot make a difference. That's your number one thing. So the interning thing, I think, is a great idea. Yeah, we do it at our company as well. I mean, we're always looking for talent. So, you know, we take people in, we pay them. If they want to work for free, that's fine.
Completely selfish here, but I'm basically going to say, no, I mean, so VR Association, number one, like I said before, it's very underutilized. Even for the people who join, it is very underutilized. I'll be the first one to say that. If you are somebody who gets involved and does stuff and goes out and meets people and talks, and you can't achieve whatever you're trying to actually achieve through it, you're not doing it right. You know, I've said this a couple times to people, like, just coming to events like this. I think it was 2 months ago, 3 months ago, I had 4 people asking me, hey, I'm looking to break into the space, I'm looking for a job, I don't really know what to do. And one of the panel members had earlier that day told me, hey, you know, I'm looking to hire people, do you know anybody good? And I'm like, okay, 4 people surrounding me, hey you, come here real quick, talk to these 4. And, you know, it's that simple sometimes. It's not going to happen every time, don't get me wrong, but I mean, whatever, 3 months ago we had a company here that was actively recruiting. They were looking for people who had these skills. So they sponsored, they bought us food for the night, and they came in and said, okay, we're recruiting. It's not hard to find. Now, yeah, you know, I'll be the first one I know the metrics around this, but I'll say it right off the bat. If you see a job posting that's looking for an AR VR person and the requests that they're making are, hey, you need to have 10 years of VR development experience. Who right now has 10 years of VR development experience? Apply anyway. Because chance, and now don't get me wrong, we actually bundle AR, we just posted for experienced developers, and I got a lot of people, we had a ton of people who were applying to us, who, some of which had not even graduated yet, or they literally just graduated a few months ago. Okay, that's fine, I applaud them for applying. I'm sorry, you're not gonna get past our screening process, unless you're insanely talented. But I did look at their portfolios. I mean, there was one person, I'll admit, who, he had some chops. And he's somebody that when we are looking for, maybe a level below what we were looking for, I'm gonna call him. I've kept, or I'm gonna recommend him to somebody else if I know they're looking. So going to these events, reaching a little bit above where you might actually be if you're looking at the job posts. I mean, job posts are kind of a joke, I think. I never liked them. That's the first couple things I would say, but definitely going to events like this, going to other technology events, going to company-sponsored events, so if there's a company that's throwing a meetup and maybe they don't have a VR position available, but they're a company that could benefit from it, go to their event, start talking to their people. Maybe there's something going on there you don't know about. There's a lot of companies in Chicago that are doing immersive technology stuff that aren't talking about it at all. And I know they're doing immersive technology work simply because I know developers who work in VR that are working for them. So they wouldn't really be there if they weren't doing something, even though they're not coming to these events and they're not saying that they're doing it, they're not posting open job positions. You know what I'm saying? So I think we got one more question, then we're gonna end this and go do some more demos and hopefully drink some more of the pop that we got. And talk to some more people, particularly these people. Did you have one more or no? I thought second. Any more questions, or we can just end it now?
Up in front we have one, right? Do you still have that?
I did have a question, yes. If you're anxious to stop.
I don't know, I'm gonna get the microphone.
That was a long time.
Get the microphone.
I forgot my question. No, so basically, I think you mentioned earlier about, or maybe it was Eli, about the replenishment economy, where basically packages are basically becoming customers, but they actually order themselves when it comes right down to it. So if that's the case, you can actually circumvent platforms like Amazon, per se, where you don't have to physically go up there yourself as a human being. You can actually just have the package through AI actually just reorder itself, kind of like that and all. So I'm kind of wondering how far through the hype cycle or the release cycle are we actually kind of there. You can only speak to that, how far are we into what, if you've heard of the futurist, Doug Stevens, who's like, a resale futurist, he talked about the replenishment economy a little bit in his books, and so that's kind of wondering how.
So I'll answer real quick. So if you see the refrigerators that are on sale today with the big screen, yeah, so they're already recognizing the fact that they can reorder milk, orange juice, whatever it may be, based on the weight that's in the refrigerator. Yeah. So it's already exists. Is everybody getting on board? I'm not sure. I mean, Tetra Pak is looking into it, right? Because that's a no-brainer. They're going to order Tetra. They're not even going to order it. It's going to order it for them every single week or every single day. That is just a model, a business model that I would love to have.
Right. It's one thing for the fridge, but for each package itself to actually reorder itself, that would be kind of just off the charts right there.
Well, that's you actually need a receiver. You actually need another player to the package itself cannot do that. Unfortunately,
it's like a self-pressing Amazon Go button.
Correct.
I would just pay attention to who's doing the fulfillment for it, because those signals, to your point, I think are being, sent out, but there's going to be someone else in the filling. We're talking about the Hershey store, where it's a virtual store. You literally put on your Oculus and you walk into it and you're literally looking at a store and you can click things and you can purchase it right there in this virtual reality. And I think it's DoorDash comes and brings it to your door, So yeah, how these companies combine and how they create those systems is going to be pretty interesting.
But I have one word for you. It's called 5G technology.
Oh, yeah.
That would change everything. So expect in the future to have, a bunch of other things talking to you, Internet of things will have life and will come to you and they will send data everywhere, all the time.
So real quick question for you guys, can I post your presentations?
Yes.
Okay, so the presentations that you guys saw here, they'll be available on the website for this, so VRAR Chicago for this event. And normally I make this announcement up front. Sorry if it offends anybody that we waited this this long, but we've been streaming this too. So the recording for this whole thing will also be up on Facebook. Other than that, I think we're gonna end it here. Next month, we're gonna hit a kind of a fun topic. We're actually doing emergency management, military, police, fire. We've already got most of the panels confirmed for it. So expect to see some fireworks, I guess, on that one. And yeah, other than that, thanks. These guys will be hanging around for a little bit longer, hopefully, so that you can talk to them one-on-one if you have advice to ask about jobs and maybe they know local positions, they can help you in that sort of stuff. Or anything else. Thank you all for coming. Thanks for sticking it out. That's all. Hope to see you next month. Thank you.